I don't use this.
Oh.
I can't believe I got to do this, bro. Like, I got to dismantle this. So dumb.
I mean, I've long dismantled my coins and daggers. I did that a long time ago.
Gone. Oh, man. That just feels good, doesn't it? Just feels amazing. All right, fam. Woo! Let's get this thing going. About time we talked about this, y'all. I'm your boy Chadsky, doing a little bit of adjusting, doing a little bit of contemplating, and we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about accessories because things have changed over time. Things have changed quite a bit. All right? If you guys like the channel, be sure to subscribe. Listen, it doesn't cost you anything. It really, really helps out the channel. We have blown through 10,000 subscribers. We're on our way to 11,000. It has been so, so good. The reception from the community has been awesome. I hope you guys like the content I put out and doing videos and doing streams. We just entered KVK last night on my main, so we're going to have a good time there. But this video particularly is about accessories. And if you like the video, throw a thumbs up on it. Really helps out the channel. Also, a lot of these conversations are started and facilitated in my Discord. I have the Discord link in my description. Be sure to check that out. But today we got to talk about it. We have got to talk about accessories. We have taken a lot of feedback. We've really kind of said, okay, now that we're at where we are in 2025, what are the accessories giving us? What are they doing? What are they not doing? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So with that being said, let's look at this a little bit. First of all, accessories are pretty simple. And for anybody that doesn't know, legendary accessories will give you the best upgrade to your marches. These legendary accessories here, you can see I've got plenty of them critted. I have old ones that I've done. Now recently, and I'll tell you what happened with mine, older players and players who have some of these accessories are basically optimizing their marches, which means they're dismantling a lot of accessories. Okay, and let me kind of go through it and give you an idea. First and foremost, let's talk about each one individually. Okay, it's real simple when you go through this. Let me pull this up here, and let's go through each one individually. And the overall concept of accessories is that these things came out: the pendant, the dagger, Seth's Call, Greatest Glory, ring, Moore's Web, horn, Skola's Lucky Coin, the Book of Vengeance. The plume is brand new. We won't talk about this. This is more for Siege. But then you've also got Karak's War Drums, okay? And all of these have changed over time. Now, their attributes haven't changed over time, and what they do and their mechanics haven't changed, but the game has changed, okay? The game has completely shifted. And so 4 and 5 years ago, and I talk about this on my stream, and I've talked about it in a previous video saying we need an upgrade to these accessories. Listen, we'll go through it one by one. Pendant of Eternal Night. The pendant is 5% more skill damage of all types. That's wonderful. That's great 5 years ago. Okay? But now in 2025, the thing that we have to understand is that we have gotten power creep with commanders. Okay? This commander as a secondary does 2,800 damage factor. 2,800 to 3 targets. Okay? Luce, as we all know, introduces the smite. He does 2,250 to 5 targets. All right, William Wallace, single target, 2,400. I mean, you just have massive damage. Belisarius, 2,400. Huo, 2,700. I mean, it's just out of control how much damage these commanders do. Along with that, their skills have been enhanced, and that's what people have to understand. Okay, when you look at Huo, skill damage bonus 30%. That's pretty normal. That is pretty normal. Back 4 and 5 years ago, that was outstanding. You never saw stuff like that except with our boy YSG. This is what made YSG so good for so long, is that he gave a 50% bonus to skill damage. Okay, and so he was the only one that did stuff like that. All right, so 4 and 5 years ago, we didn't have all these commanders. Nevsky's another one. Look at this. He's got a skill damage bonus of 25%. He's got a triggered bonus of another, what is it? He's got a triggered bonus of another 35%. That's 60% skill damage. All right, so compared to 4 and 5 years ago, the Pendant of the Eternal Night, guys, it is not, oh, of course, Steven's going to walk in front of my, It is the 5% more skill damage means nothing. Like if this was doubled, like if there was a museum relic for this thing that it made it 10%, okay, well then maybe you go forge that. Do not forge this thing. If you're a new player that's coming into SOC, do not forge this thing. If you're an older player with a bunch of accessories and you have one of these things, you might think about dismantling it. And we can talk about what Lilith needs to do with giving us our materials back. We can do that later in a different video. But the bottom line is, this isn't working out very well. I mean, so when you look at it, it's so very, very hard. And that's just on the pendant, okay? And they can give us these tiered up iconic stuff. But from that standpoint, everything gets a tiered up iconic situation. So it's not like they're distinguishing some of these older accessories and really making it. They would have to do museum buff. They would literally have to buff this. They would have to increase this value. Okay, we'll go to the dagger. Same thing with the dagger. This used to, dude, the dagger used to be so meta. Like if you were rallying Garrison back 4 years ago, you had to have the dagger. It was insane what this thing would do. Because if you have it critted, it's 6.5% health. That stacks up to 3 times. You can literally debuff the target by 6.5% health, and that rolls up to like 19.5%. Just something crazy. And so when you look at this, it was so good. Well, now, guys, like, look, like it doesn't have near the effect. Let's just go over here and look. I'm running 9.4% health here. Okay, I'm running another 3.5% health here. That's like 14% health. Okay, so armaments alone has like negated dagger. It just doesn't have the same effect. Your skills are better on commanders. Your armaments are off the charts. I mean, some of this stuff is just absolutely wild in how you're able to put the stuff together. And it's just, it's crazy to see, but I mean, it's just the fact that remains is that you're just not getting the benefit. And the same thing I said about the pendant, I'll say about the dagger. Like if this was like an 8%, and then you crit it and it's like 11%, and then you could literally go debuff 33% health. Okay, now we're talking, but it's not. They're basically telling us as players, hey, you have the exact same attributes on these accessories. They cost the same. It costs the same to get the materials. It costs the same to get the blueprints. It is hard to get. It's literally going to be a massive investment to get it critted and to get it tiered up. However, the benefit's the same it was 4 or 5 years ago. Okay? And it's the same thing with Call. Guys, like, listen. Call's cool because you can put it on some of these combo commanders now and it procs more often. It only has a 3-second cooldown. But 10% attack? That's like, huh? 10% attack like literally doesn't do anything for your marches. It's just not that much. Now, if this was 20% or 25%, okay, now we're talking. And honestly, 4 and 5 years ago, 10% was great. You just didn't have commanders that was running attack up so much. I mean, nowadays, you just got commanders that are just hammering the attack. Like hammering it. Like you got attack bonus, 30%. I mean, this is stuff that's just like your bonus on some of these things is crazy. You got an attack drain over here of 20%. I mean, attack bonuses are just off the charts now. And these commanders just don't get near the benefit that they used to when Seth's Call was out 4 and 5 years ago. Okay? Now, I'll come back to these 3, but we'll go into Moore's Web, the same thing. This is just trash, y'all. This is just absolute trash. I know it sounds good, but 4%, which is basically, what, 5.5% if it's critted, you can stack that 3 times. You're taking 15% defense away from the enemy. Okay, so that's, if you can get this thing to stack 3 times, you're cooking. Yay, 15% defense I'm taking from the enemy. Oh, Ragnar does 40% defense. Like, that's what you literally have. Like, it's just not affecting anything. And so from that standpoint, Moore's Web is so tough. And then it does it slow, but it does it on cavalry. There's too many aspects and triggered aspect with Belly Prime and some of these other cavalry commanders. They're going to run away so fast. And if you stop them by 8% or stack it twice to 16%, stack it 3 times to 24%, okay, it's only going to last a few seconds, and it's not really affecting much with the cavalries. So this type of stuff, again, if this was a defense reduction of 8% and a speed of targets cavalry units, or honestly, they just take cavalry out of there, just make it any units at 8%, then it would be much better. But honestly, if you have Moore's Web and you're trying to chase down somebody, you're chasing down their slowest march, which is going to be archers or infantry. So you're not chasing down cavalry. Okay, so it literally doesn't do much for you. Vengeance, same type of thing. Counterattack damage, 8%. We're running counterattack. Now, a lot of people use this for rallies and garrisons, but we're running counterattack up so much right now. Like, so much. It is absolutely insane. Like, hold on, let me come down here to see why and just give you guys an example. Even the archer garrisons are running the counterattack up like insanely. Crazy counterattack. And then you're like, oh, well, it's good for Gorgo. Yeah, it kind of is, but Gorgo's just got the natural normal damage bonus. That includes counterattack. I mean, so what are you going to do? I mean, anytime you get normal damage enhancements from some of these commanders, you're literally in a situation to where you're not getting near as much benefit from a Book of Vengeance like you used to. So, I mean, it falls in the same category. Now, if this said 12% or 15% extra counter damage, all right, now we're cooking. Let's go with that. But it doesn't. So do not invest in this. Just know, okay? And then here it is, the coin. I literally just dismantled my critted Skola's Lucky coin. And I did it so I could go get and apply a critted horn, okay? 500 damage factor. When this is critted and special talented, that 500 goes to 650, y'all. And so when it goes to 650, that's awesome. It's really, really good 4 years ago when this guy's in the field, okay? And he's doing that. All right. It's really good when you're in the field and you're fighting against this guy. 1700 damage factor used to be meta. That used to be amazing 4 years ago. Okay. You're fighting against some of these other commanders like Saladin. 4 years ago, the coin was great. I mean, it literally negated, at 650, it negates a third of his active skill. Okay. But it's not 2020 anymore. It's 2025. And since it's not 2020 anymore, now this dude's hitting you. And the Skola's Lucky coin doesn't do anything to these new commanders. It just doesn't. They need to increase the damage factor on Skola's Lucky coin. They need to increase that. Like, this needs to say like 1200 and proc it for 1600. Then you're actually using an accessory that works and that's really good. Now, I know you can put it on your garrison, and your garrison, if it's getting swarmed, you can get this to fire off more often, but it's still got a 5-second cooldown. And in a garrison, that the damage factor ramps up when you have more troops, right? If you're in a garrison, you got 2 million troops, 3 million troops, and it has more of an effect, especially against a swarm. However, against a rally, it's the same type of deal. You're going to get a 500 damage factor on Skola's Lucky coin against a rally, but they're going to be rallying you with Nevsky and Justinian, or they're going to be rallying you with Ash and Henry. I mean, Skola's Lucky coin is great when you're playing against Saladin and Alex, but you go play against this guy, direct damage 2300. Meh. I mean, it's just gonna crush you. Or you go play against Zuge, or you go play against Ash. I mean, it's not gonna work. I mean, Ash is doing this with that 2500 damage factor to the target. I mean, it's just nowhere near as good, okay? So when we come into this, let's look at the ones that are actually still worth it today. Okay, first and foremost, Ring. Okay, the reason why Ring helps is because Ring is going to give you an all blanketing, all damage. It's like a blanket for everything, right? The more you ramp up damage and skill damage and all your different attributes and your talents and your percentages that you're doing under skills and all that stuff, this just enhances everything. So Ring is still good, okay? It does have a 2-second damage dealt factor, which we're going to talk about here in a sec, okay? Greatest Glory. This would have been in the same category as all this stuff. It would have been garbage, okay? But this is saved by the fact that you can crit this thing. You can get the Prince pretty easy, and it enhances smite damage, which is Luce and William Wallace and Gorgo, and it enhances combo damage, which is Arthur as a primary. And you can see I've got him on Luce and Arthur. There you go. And it also enhances Subutai when he comes out. He's doing combo damage. So they kind of saved Greatest Glory. Okay, it's not meta. It's not just completely amazing, but it is good to be able to use on commanders that do smite and combo. Okay, and so from that standpoint, you got Ring, you got Greatest Glory. Those are okay. Ring is pretty good. You've got War Drums now. And here's what you have to understand about war drums and horn, okay? These are benefiting mechanics in the game. They're not benefiting attributes, okay? This is an attribute. 8% of counter attack damage is an attribute. This is a rage mitigation. And when I say mitigation, it's changing it. Or I'm sorry, when I say mitigation, it's dropping rage. But this is actually a rage enhancement. So this is affecting an enhancement. This is affecting a mechanic in the game. And so horn and drums affect the mechanic. Well, the mechanic is just a mechanic to do more skill damage or to do more, fire off your skills more, all your marches. And if you fire for skills more, then you benefit from the power creep, right? The power creep is the commander today. The power creep is having Huo with Arthur behind him and running armaments with Wedge and special inscriptions. That's a massive power creep. Okay, well, all this does is enhance that, because this is just enhancing how often you fire your active skills. So you're just enhancing the power creep. And that's why horn and drum are where it's at, man. These two things have not lost any value over time. In fact, drums and the fact that all these other ones have fallen off so badly, these have actually gained in value in what you're doing. So that's how you have to look at that. Okay, and now you got the combo commanders that are going to help this thing trigger more often. It'll trigger multiple times in the same second. We've seen that with Arthur. Same thing with the horn. Now you're going to overrage, but who cares? Like, just put as much rage as you can on it. It's better than this nonsense. It's better than that nonsense. I mean, so you can't look at it as a situation where, hey, I have a pendant and I want to put it on my commander, and that's all I have. Well, if that's all you got, that's all you got. But if you have something else or have the opportunity to get a horn, then the opportunity cost of not putting on the horn and putting on a pendant is dreadful. It's awful. And so from that standpoint, that's how you have to look at accessories today. Accessories, and I'm going to say this, outside of a handful of them, a few of them, accessories are garbage in 2025 compared to how they used to be in 2020 and 2021. They're garbage. They just don't work near as much. You got commander power creep, armament power creep, city skin power creep. You got all the things. And so from that standpoint, that's how we set this thing up. So let me bring up my trusty tier list here. And this is how I would do this, okay? I'm going to have my little accessory tier list. We're going to kind of go through this and review this, but this is how I would do this. Horn, number one. It is the number one. You can put it anywhere. You can even put it on combo commanders. You can put it on Luce. I used to be of the belief that if Luce has it and he does his expertise, you're going to overrage him. Well, it doesn't matter. I really don't care to overrage that. There's no cooldown on Horn. You can get that thing to proc all the time. And so from that standpoint, I'm good with overraging, because raging just means you're enhancing the power creep that is the commander nowadays. Okay, from there, I would put ring here in A. I would put drums right behind it. You could honestly go either way. But the reason why I put drums at the level of the ring, and let me show you, okay? It's because the ring has a little bit of an issue with its cooldown, and it has a little bit of an issue with its uptime, okay? And that's more importantly what we're talking about. This is a 2-second, for 2 seconds you get 50% damage. With this thing critted, it's 65%. It's insane. That's great. However, when you're back and forth fighting, guys, it happens more than you think. You're going to hit the enemy and hit them for 2 or 3 seconds. Well, that's so many times you're going to hit them, and that second you hit them, you proc the ring and you run away. So a lot of the times you're only getting a 1 second benefit of that. And if you don't think, if you think I'm kidding, just go try it and go look at your reports and see. Because in back and forth fighting, murder ball fighting, you're going back and forth constantly. Okay, and so it's very rarely do you just go hit and you stay and you hit. And that if that ring procs, you're going to be hitting him for the 2 second that ring procs, you're going to just be ramping up the damage. That does not happen that often in murder ball fighting. And so the value of this comes down just a little bit. Okay, and I put it on the level with war drums. Now in a rally garrison situation, you're not going anywhere. You're hitting him nonstop. So in a rally garrison situation, you can put this up here. Okay, but when you're in a field situation, it goes just above war drums. We talked about war drums. We talked about the fact that you're gaining rage for everybody else, and having 2 and 3 war drums in your murder ball is probably more beneficial. Like if your murder ball, if you run 6 marches, okay, and all 6 of them have horn ring, it's honestly more beneficial to peel off 2 or 3 rings and add 2 or 3 drums. Because 2 or 3 drums on 6 marches is like very efficient. You can go to his videos. You can go to his channel. He goes through all that with war drums and how it becomes so efficient to have 2 and 3 and sometimes 4 war drums for 5, 6, and 7 marches. And it's really, really good because that's all you want is rage. Okay. And so from there, I put the Greatest Glory at okay. Okay. The good part about Greatest Glory, it can go here, but you're going to put it here is you can get the mats for it. You can get it to tier 5 and it really helps your smite and your combo damage. Okay. Plus you just get the normal damage buff. All right. The normal damage buff is compared to all this stuff, but the fact that normal damage now is like a built-in pendant for skill damage. The normal damage is giving you attack, counterattack, and smite and combo. That's why this is an okay. It's okay to invest in this. These are the 4 you should invest in. And that's it. That's it. Do not invest in Skola's Lucky Coin. Do not invest in Dagger. Okay? Do not invest in Book. I put these at no. Don't do it. Don't waste it. And if you guys have these, if they're not critted and you're an older player and you got a bunch of accessories and a bunch of marches and they're not critted, I would 100% dismantle. 100%. They're not doing anything for you. Okay, and then 100 times no is these guys. They're just not doing anything for you at all. Do not invest in those. Okay, these are the 4 you want to focus on. And until they do something different, until they give us some museum buffs or something for these accessories that have not changed in 5 years, they have not changed. Meanwhile, the game has gotten more powerful. These have not changed. You just do not want to invest in these things. Do not. This is where you get your value. This and this is where you get your value. This is where you can get your value in a niche situation. That's what you want to invest in. That's what you want to do. And that's how this thing kind of plays out, okay? So with that being said, I encourage all the conversation. I encourage people to give me your feedback. Drop a like on here if you enjoyed the video. Throw a comment down there. I engage with all the players that are putting comments on there. Join my Discord. The link is in the description. We talked about this. This is where these conversations came from. And so with that being said, I hope everybody has a wonderful week as we get ready for these KVKs. They're going to be amazing. And you're going to see a whole lot of players doing some crazy stuff with rings and horns and drums. And with that being said, we'll see you later, broskies.